What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone for the second episode of a new podcast we're gonna do in a completely different circumstance than the last time. The last time we looked like we look like the way Bologna should be looking, and today, not even a week after that, in the same week, we play Paphos, which you might also talk about a little bit. We look like a real Juve for the first time in I don't know how long. It's like Basel tweeted out, it's the best game you've seen in a very, very long time, and I cannot even recall which game it was the last time we looked like that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the potential sale, takeover, whatever, transpired after that. A lot of people had a lot of things to say. Also, the final third, Openda, Jonathan David, a little bit about Roma, because we played them on Saturday. And then also the importance of two players. One, Yildiz, and the other one, I don't think many people will acknowledge, but it's Kalulu, who has played every single minute this season and is vital, even though he gets a lot of criticism. And I think it's a little bit unfair when it comes to the critique he's getting, But first off, how are you guys doing after 2 wins?
Good. It feels much better than last week. I'd like to join you again, guys, and looking forward to go through more positive talking points this time.
I think good as well. The season has been so much of a roller coaster, so I guess having to experience back-to-back wins is all right.
It is all right. It's actually fantastic because we've been. I mean, watching Juve is not fun. Like, let's be honest. Like the way we have been playing, is not fun. Also, like the results, and it's like Spalletti said, it's a roller coaster. You have a lot of bad moments, and you also have good moments that frustrates you, because it's like, why do you play good and then bad in the space, in not even weeks, like within the same game? We've seen that.
If you want to spin it now, Ale, if you want to spin it now, like we've won 5 of the last 6 games. I'm like, it doesn't feel like it, but
no, because ever since Spalletti came in, it's 10 games, if I'm not mistaken. Is it 10 games?
I think it's 7.
Oh, it's something like that. We lost 1. We won.
No, it's definitely more than 7.
No, it's 7. I think we won 7, we drew 2, and we lost 1. I think it is.
Yeah, so he joined for Cremonese. Like we won that. We drew 3 after. That. Yeah. And then we won 5 and lost 1 after this. So 10.
So on paper, it sounds good. On
6
paper.
wins, 3 draws, and a loss. And to be honest with you, the 3 draws, Sporting, Torino, and Fiorentina. Honestly, I even said it last week. I would give him an excuse for that. Like he was just like trying to adapt to the team, didn't get any time to prepare, and in those games we did merit more. Let's say, I don't know. I wouldn't say we merited like 3 wins, but we did merit more. I think based on performances.
I think against Torino we did just enough to get that win. I don't think we did enough against Fiorentina. It was kind of a very boring game, especially that second half. And against Verona, well, we all know what happened in that Verona game. Not that we were good. I'm not trying to claim we're very good throughout 90 minutes, but that was kind of.
I'm talking about the Spalletti time. I added the Sporting game because like Sporting, barring the first 20 minutes, I think just the first 20 minutes were bad, and then the 70 minutes were good. Like we deserved to win that, in my opinion.
We did.
Yeah.
Are we gonna start with the final third, Openda and all that jazz, or do you want to talk about the potential takeover first? It's up to you guys. What do you want to get out of the way?
Happy with either. Really.
Let's start with the potential takeover. Then we get that out of the way, because, well, everybody knows what happened. Federer made an offer. It got rejected. immediately, like the day after, it got rejected. Not even 12 hours after the announcement, almost, it got rejected. And then Agnelli, Alcon put that, in my opinion, awkward video out there because he was reading out, I don't know, a teleprompter. I think like it felt, it didn't feel real, which is so weird because he kind of quote unquote owns the club. It's in his family. It should like come natural what you're trying to say, but he was clearly reading it out, and it didn't came across like, for me, real. Especially that last part was a bit, I don't know. It felt more of a shot towards Tether, saying, "Don't do this. You know, don't bother. Don't insult me." Basically, a little bit. You know, we're not for sale. Our values, etc. And then he got backed by Buffon and other, you know, people, ex-players as well. Normally, that's going to happen. So, take the floor. What do you think about the entire situation? Because I've had my say on that. I don't think it's over as well. And yeah, I don't think many good things will come from this, in my opinion. But that's just me.
I'll just go first. Like, in terms of my position when it comes to the Agnelli family, I actually really buy into the sentimental value of that. That is like, it's a family that played an essential part in the history of the industrial side of Italy, and they've owned Juventus, and they're a significant part of the story of Juventus and why we are the club that we are today. And even in terms of a fan base in Italy, as I understand, in terms of like the demographic, like of Juve fans, it spreads across all of Italy. A big part of that like had to do with the story of the Agnellis and their factories and people like migrating there to work and support Juventus. So I do buy into all of that sentimental value. And I personally, I'm not the type that says, no, just give me another owner, like that would pay more cash, because I don't necessarily see the problem with Juve being cash at the moment. I see it a lot more than that. Like there's a problem with Italian football revenues, with basically not really fulfilling the potential of this club as a brand, as a global brand, which would allow us to compete at the highest level. And even from the sporting side, we are already the club with the highest revenues in Serie A when we're in Europe. Yet we don't show it on the field. So there's much more problems in this club at the moment than the financial side. Me, however, I am really frustrated, as everyone else, with the direction of the club the past 5-6 years. I feel that whoever is in charge is not really someone with a vision for the club. They're managing it as they go. They change management every year. Like there's no clear direction. We go in one path in a certain summer, and then the next summer we completely contradict ourselves and our approach. And I'm not happy with this. And if there's a change that requires happening for us to move into the next step, I would welcome that. Now, however, when it comes to Tether, I can see it as a positive thing, regardless whether it goes through or not. Most likely, I don't think it will go through. I don't believe that they would sell the club. They have no reason to. Ideally, they would find investors who would help their vision and to support them. And that's when we read the connection to, for example, Saudi investors and other. But I don't think they want to sell the club outright. That's not going to happen. However, I do view the Tether move as something positive, and in the sense, like, Tether is a company. When people like say stable coin, so they're not really familiar with what a stable coin is, because they view the crypto world as something that is flaky. It's up and down. People like who are a bit like crypto bros, they call them, right? Like, and who are like a bit of fanatics when it comes to this. But like for the average guy, like they feel like it's like betting. It's not something that exists in the real world. It's sort of like a game, you know, that some people play with real money. However, Tether is not that within this space. So within the crypto space that exists in something like called a blockchain, the technology, it's a technology. Tether, what they do is they have a stable coin, as in like exactly like how, for example, if you guys know your history, like in 1971, the dollar was pegged to gold. They're pegging a cryptocurrency to actual dollars. the same way it used to. The fiat currency used to be pegged to gold. So the type of assets they invest in are assets that preserve value long term. They don't invest in assets in order to sell them after, in order to, no, they need assets that would live long term. So that's why they get into US treasuries, they get into farmland, they get into gold, they invest a lot in gold. So and it's the first time they go for something like Juve. So they're perceiving Juve as something that can preserve value on a very long term, So that's how they view it. And it's not something that's going to go away. Like regardless whether Bitcoin goes down or up, this type of technology, and it's needed in the world simply because it's faster and there's a future for it. Like it's going to be used. It's used in certain countries with more troubled banking systems at the moment. But USDT, their stable coin, is something that, like I think the number, the last I read, like you have people transactioning and tens of billions of dollars a month with USDT, So it's huge. And in terms of valuation, it's one of the biggest companies of the past 10 years. So they are a very serious company. They're not your like crypto company that just came up yesterday and like it's a startup, a hopeful startup. They're much more than that, and they're very involved at a very high level. So that's the type of company that is interested in Juventus at the moment. It's a company for now and for the future, and they evaluate Juve as something that could preserve value very long term. Now, whether this happens or not, I think either way, Elkan, with his statement, he needs to live up to these words that he said. If he doesn't want to sell the club, he needs to actually take back the club to where it deserves to be, which is at the top of Italian football and competitive in Europe. We are nowhere near being that at the moment. And it's his fault in a way because he's the guy at the top. He's making the big decisions, and he's the one who can remove like any doubt around his investment in the club and the vision in a vision for the club by actually delivering results and elevating the club to where we all want it to be. So that's my view on it.
Okay, what do you think? Do you think it's
first of all, can you hear me?
yeah, you're good.
So first of all, one thing I knew was certain was that Elkan was never the club to Teta, being from his point of view, being he doesn't want to be the family member that sells the club or something like that. So that aside, my opinion, Teta purchasing the club, I feel like I have to agree with what he said earlier. I don't think the problem the club has is on the financial side type of thing. So that's why I'm also a little bit skeptical of when Teta said they wanted to buy the club because that being it, I don't deem them as a company that would have a footballing brain, quote and unquote. So
We lost the quality.
I think we lost him. No worries. I will clip that out, but we will go back and forth for now. The fact that you said that, you know what? Oh, you're back.
Yeah. So sorry for the interruption. So what I was saying basically is I knew they were never going to sell. So Teta purchasing was not. I didn't really fancy it because I thought most of our problems wasn't finances. Finances are a big part of our problem, yes, but footballing decisions have been a major part of our problem. So going into that, I just feel like the club could buy into investors that followed or envision the same ideas as the Agnelli family, but not a total sale of the club.
I like finances. I agree. Like it's not the main problem. Okay, we have FFP issues, so that's kind of weird to say, but the biggest problem is managerial decisions. At the top, some people came at me and said, well, you're harsh on Alcon, but he was part of when we were winning 9 in a row. I was like, he was only part by name. His name was on the company's like that's it. He wasn't part of it. Agnelli was in total control of the club. Like he didn't like right now, Giuntoli, Comoli, those are decisions Elkan made. You know, when Agnelli fired or when Beppe Marotta left, he didn't call Elkan and he was like, "Who do you want me to hire?" He made that decision. Even like when we signed Ronaldo, I'm pretty sure he only told Elkan when he knew I have it done. You know, and here I'm signing Ronaldo. You better sign off to it. You know, he was not calling Elkan and saying, "Do you think we can?" I don't like. That's completely different. Right now, we have somebody in charge making decisions, putting people in place who have been failing. That's the reality of it. I saw that bit more of a like because the bid came in and I knew immediately it was going to get rejected because he's not going to sell. You know, like you said, it's an like. Besides that, it's been part of the family for over 100 years. Owning a football club, and not just like one of the biggest football clubs out there, is massive. I'm not really into finances, but to get loans, etc., it's massive. Like you own a club that's worth over €1 billion. Like you own it. It's yours, you know? So he's not going to...
I think it can be worth much more as well. Like in terms of potential as well. I think we're at the lowest. Yeah, at the moment.
We are probably, yes, you know, we are there. But the moment that bid came in, I was like, it's going to get rejected. I knew it. I saw it more as a I don't know if you guys agree. I saw it more as a, I don't know, like a signal to the club saying, let us help you. Like, just throw us a bone right now, you know, let us help you. But I feel from the moment these guys came in and bought shares in the club, they don't like them. They just absolutely do not like them. The tone, the way they speak about them, the way, for example, Tuttosport and Guido, it's the mouthpiece of the club right now. It's like, it's word for word. Like every article, it feels like it got written down.
Propaganda,
yeah, and printed out, you know, that like it is what it is. The way they spoke about Paolo and the company and the way they were like, is it real? Is it this? I knew from the get-go, no, these guys are not going to get along right now. And I don't know if it was intended to be provocative, but I think Elkan felt, or Exor, no, I'm going to say Elkan, not Exor. Elkan feels insulted by the offer and the type of statement he put out there, because he also added, very cheeky, if we buy the club, we're going to invest €1 billion into the club as well, you know, not whatever it is for transfers, you know, stadium, like whatever. We're going to invest more money into the club. And I think Elkan fell completely back into the corner, because this can go two ways. We have a fantastic end to the season. Players start hitting, you know, Openda, David, they all start playing well. I don't know. Spalletti is the right guy. And, you know, the good feel factor is back at the club. Elkan, you know, it's like, you know what, I can get away with it. Or we can have a horrible end to the season and the fans start turning to it. And Elkan knows there's a guy who promised these people €1 billion investment into the club. How am I going to keep them silent when we are on the pitch out there and we do not look like Juve? How am I going to keep these players, keep these people calm? Because at one point, that bubble is going to burst. Like at one point, a lot of fans are like, cool, sentiment, I get it, but this ain't it. This is not working. Even though we have periods in our history where we're not winning for 5 years. Like it's not the first time, by the way. It happened, you know, it does happen. But the mismanagement, you know, and tied with the fact that somebody's out there saying, I'm going to throw money to the club. And it's not just a random, because somebody told me, I don't want Americans in the club. He's Italian. Like he's
from Torino.
He is from Torino. Yeah, he is from Torino. You know, he speaks like he is a Juve fan, you know, and like it or not, you know, that's the complete opposite of having quote unquote American owners, what people are scared of. I guess.
No, it's not the same at all. I wouldn't agree that it's the same at all. It's just an investor, like it's a business that is not really tied to Italy. It's more of a global business, but that's the world we live in at the moment. I personally, honestly, think that it's not going to happen. There won't be a sale. The only thing that we should worry about now is this season, and in the summer, we need investment. There's, as you said, Ale, it was Elkan's decision, for example, last summer to bring Gentili, and he made them make all of these investments. A lot of them didn't go well. They were bad investments. We spend the money. We're still committing to the money because a lot of them were loans with obliged sales, and like we haven't yet sold Nico Gonzalez or Douglas Luiz or anyone. You know, we still have them on the books. He took the decision. It's his responsibility in the summer to deal with this, and because 5 years of aiming to be fourth, like this is not Juve. Like as fans, if we accept this, this is no longer the club we grew up watching. You know, like we cannot possibly accept this. Like this is a standard that Roma would accept. Like, but Juve, it's not Juve as long as that's the result we're getting, and that's what we're aiming for. And you have Locatelli at the end of the season celebrating fourth spot. That's not what I want to see, you know, and that's not what any Juve fan wants to see. So for me, it's really, if we get out of this just more commitment from Elkan, like, okay, last year he gave all the cards to Gentili, and Motta, and directly a few months after we gave up on the whole thing, we kicked out Gentili, and we've got like a new setup, and now we're having like this bigger corporation supposedly. So like there's more checks and balances. It's not just one guy taking all the decisions. At least that's the message they're trying to communicate externally. So even Gentili, you see, like when they wanted to bring Spalletti, he said like, oh, we checked with everyone and I spoke to everyone, you know. So they're creating this setup. Okay, amazing. But this year you might get away with being the fan base just feeling relieved to get top 4, but this cannot continue. Like I cannot just be desperate to get top 4 every season. That what even the fan base that you're building at the moment, the new generation, like why would they support you? Like what's the reason? You see, like exactly, like last week, for example, you were Julian was saying about like how he became a fan in 2013. What a great time to be a fan. Like we had the Conte period, and then we started competing in Europe again after a while out. So you created a whole generation that started supporting the club during that period. Now, 5 years, it's a long time, especially in the social age. We cannot afford to be behind for this long. And I'm just hoping this would accelerate improvement, accelerate a vision and a project that Elkan actually invests in, and not just because our experience with Elkan has been really negative, really. Like for me, if you were reading the Juventus blogs 20 years ago during Calciopoli, a lot of them were saying like if he was doing what he had to do, none of this would have happened in the first place.
That pissed me off.
If his granddad was there, this would not happen, you know. And then the 9 years, as you mentioned, that was Andrea Agnelli's passion, learning, trial and error, and that's how we achieved that. And since these guys left, we've seen nothing. Like we're celebrating fourth, and barely. Like we make it only on the last game week, which is honestly pathetic, and it's not fit to our standards.
I agree. Like if I need to talk about Elkan in 2006, I need a 2-hour show. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I probably will get demonetized on this channel as well, or like it will get taken down because he did everything possible to get us relegated.
Get rid of Muji, basically. That's it. And
he just
objective. Yeah.
He just accepted anything that came our way, and like his grandpa must have been, you know, it's
rolling
a saying over
here.
Yeah. Like if he knew what happened and what he allowed to happen, I mean, I feel like I'm happy he didn't witness that. That's all I have to say. I'm happy he didn't. That's why.
Well, he was young. He was young back then. We can forget it now, but like now he's no longer young.
He was young, but when he was talking about our values were not for sale, I'm like, you sold us out in 2006. And again, I'm not going to go into it. You can look it up. Maybe I'll do a show on it later on somehow, some way, but no, like you're not that. You shouldn't be saying that, in my opinion. But we're gonna move up from this topic. Let's talk about the final third issue. I think the question is it too much freedom? Is it a structural issue? And what is it? I'll start with you, Colette, because against Bologna, the final, like the way we opened Bologna up, the place we had, etc., was all good. But I'm gonna say 8 out of 10 times when we were in around the box, and we were a lot in around the box compared to other games, we messed it up a lot of times. And we messed it up, I mean, the wrong pass, too much power on a pass, no power on the pass, a flick extra, overhit cross, like where it's like, how can you do everything perfect until that point, and you're like, now I'm gonna mess it up? How do you explain that? Is it too much freedom, or is it just these players are not good enough, which I don't really believe?
So I would base your question off Jonathan David's first half, I guess. So for me, I've never seen David as a striker that could play on his own in the box. That's that aside, like not a traditional out and out nine. Because if we do notice from the match against Bologna, David is a striker always looking for that extra pass in the box, and I'm like, sometimes just shoot the ball, like shoot the habit on target first. So it's kind of pissed me off during the game. So, and that is not to go back. I really feel like if we had Kolomwani with the way we actually play now, we might have at least it might have been better. So that's like going back in the past. But to speak of it, that's just my opinion on David, because you could see when Openda came in the second half, it was a different story. It was running into channels, less touches, more involvement. That you could, like, everyone could see much more improvement than what was happening in the first half. So I think the us not getting anything in the final third is down to David's extra touches, so to say. I feel like if you have too much technicality, sometimes it could be a problem. So in David's head, it's like, okay, I could touch the ball one or two times more. And in comparison to Erling Haaland, if he was in those positions where we got to against Bologna, I don't think Haaland is looking for a second man. He's bulleting it, if you know what I mean. So it's just player profiling, I guess, when it comes to our final third play.
What do you think, Bas? Like, is it as simple as it's David taking too many touches, which he did against Bologna, like he did, but
especially first half, yeah.
First half, yeah, it was like
no. I'm
heavy
not saying
touches as
like
well.
I'm not judging the whole season based off
Yeah,
David
okay.
taking so much touches, just based off the match 3 days ago or 4 days ago. That was what I saw as the problem. Had we had like a natural, like a number nine that doesn't take too much touches, in my opinion, we finished the game 3 or 4-0.
And by the way, I would give the same criticism as well for Conceição. I do think like he also ruined a lot of
Exactly too as well. Like same problem.
yeah.
Conceição and David, they take a lot of touches.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look at the whole season though. Like I'm looking at XG generated, and we currently have the fourth best XG in the league.
Okay.
This suggests to me like for me it's not good enough if you want to compete, but it's better than what we've been delivering so far, and especially when considering like we generated less than 1 XG in the game against Inter and we scored 4. We are currently our tally is still 2.1 below our XG generated, which shows there's finishing issues, and I think this can be associated to more psychological and technical aspects when it comes to the players. We do have a young team, especially and we have a lot of players that have not been really truly proven in their careers. Like Jonathan David was really highly rated earlier in his career. Like he was supposed to be the next big thing. He sort of he never really managed to exploit these levels. Like he never really became what was promised initially, but he still was delivering consistent goals in the Champions League and in the French league just last season. Clearly, though, we discussed this last week as well. Like, there's an issue with him on a mental level. I don't think the issue is Jonathan David or Openda, who's also not delivering, or even Vlahovic. There's a deeper issue within our team that I think has been like there for quite a bit. We go a lot by individual quality, and as well, like a lot of our players are really scared of making a mistake, and they like find it easier to take the most acceptable decision from their teammates. So they're not like I don't see like Conceição, for example. He gets a lot of criticism because sometimes he loses the ball or does something out of his own initiative. Me, I like that. I do feel like sometimes you need this. You need the players like Yildiz. You see sometimes he can pass, but he chooses to overtake his defender and deliver a cross or try to shoot. Or you want this initiative from our players. We don't have many players who offer that. And then the second issue that I have as well when it comes to attack, our midfielders are not producing goals. Like, we don't Locatelli just he doesn't score. You know, Thuram, I do think Thuram should be able to do more. Like, he can dribble, he can transitions, he can be very effective carrying the ball. His passing is a bit like not great, you know, but he's really good with the ball at his feet, very strong, very fast. And yeah, we should get more from him. McKennie, honestly, you know my opinion about McKennie, but like he's the one who gives you the most quantity. Like, he tries. There's no match with McKennie in it where he doesn't at least attempt something on goal. And that's what you need more from, you know. But you need that type of quantity from someone with a higher quality, which is Thuram on paper. You don't get that at the moment. Coop Mainers, obviously, like, he's a defender now, and also the wing back. So our set pieces, we don't score enough from set pieces. That was a great goal against Bologna. I really like the initiative. It's new. It's something also I credit Spalletti. Like, if you see the players, I haven't seen it in Europe, to be honest with you, where all the players start outside the box completely. And Bologna were doing man-to-man, so they were with them outside the box. And then they run in, yet they played a short pass. And so the whole defense was in chaos, you know?
Yeah.
So I really like that, but we're not producing enough goals from set pieces. Midfielders don't score. Mental issues with when it comes to our players who are scared to take initiative and make mistakes. That's what I really consider to be the reasons for our pathetic attacking numbers, to be honest with you. 19 goals in 16 games. Like, that's a terrible record for a team like Juve, you know, in Serie A.
I agree. But now that we mentioned Jonathan David and Openda, let's talk about that. You know, we have two strikers, two profiles. The question is, should Spalletti make a decision and pick one of the two? Because I will read out a quote from him. Like, he's making he's making a choice based on a game, because the way Openda came in against Bologna, I was like, yeah, he's going to start. It's going to happen against Roma. Then I heard Spalletti's presser, and I was like, okay, he's not going to start against Roma. I'm 100% convinced about that right now, and I will be shocked if he actually starts against Roma, because he said, okay, I will read it out. He said, David is a different kind of footballer, one who links up play. He seems more like a second striker than a traditional number 9 because he drops deeper to connect the play. Openda has more strength and explosiveness. He's powerful and fast. In matches like these, he feels more comfortable. He was somewhat helped by Bologna's style of play. What that tells me is that he's going to go with it game by game. You know, Roma, the way they play, I don't know if anyone watched Roma against Como. They're well organized. I think the standing doesn't reflect the way they play, to be honest. I think they're overachieving a little bit, you know, but they're very hard to beat. They're not wide open like Bologna. That they're not going to be like that. So there won't be a lot of space to run in. Based on that, he's going to play Jonathan David, in my opinion. However, we might be playing Como at home. And then it's like, okay, now Openda, you can go out there. What do you guys think about that approach? Because for me, it kind of tells me I mean, you don't see that at a top club. A top club has one player and he starts. Most top clubs, you know, you can, I don't know, maybe you can compare us to Chelsea a little bit. They also have no clue what to do up front. You know, maybe it's Joe Pedro, maybe it's the lab. Who knows? You know, nobody knows. Not even. Yeah, like they don't really know. I'm not a fan of that. However, is this just the natural situation at the club right now where there's no real number 9 who pinned? Yeah, it was Vlahovic, but he's out. But then again, really quickly, Vlahovic is also a player, maybe a bit like David, drops in, links up. Like, he's not like Openda, fast, gets behind players, but he was choosing Vlahovic no matter what. If Vlahovic was fit, he was the number 1 choice for Spalletti. No doubts about that, in my opinion. So that goes a little bit against what he's saying. So my question is, does he not really, not rate, I don't want to say rated, but he's not sold that any of the two can do a job for them week in, week out on a consistent basis. So I think he's trying to keep both of them happy. Hopefully they can give him each 8 goals, instead of banking your hope on one getting 16 goals.
I think it's based off their performances at the moment. What I feel is, if David is doing enough to warrant full 90 minutes, game in, game out, he gets to start. Same as Openda as well. So and the thing about, if Vlahovic was fit, he's going to be the number 1 starter. I think most coaches that come to Juve see Vlahovic as a mix of, he could drop in and he could run in behind. At least that's the perception I get from most coaches that come to Juventus as well. So that is based off that. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I think in terms of caliber, Vlahovic is of a higher caliber. And that's not just on the footballing side, even physically, he's a stronger guy. He's like, by the way, Vlahovic have done better off the bench this season than starting game. Well, I heard your point, Ali, about like he's not exactly like Openda where he's good in transitions, but I actually feel this season he improved a bit slightly with his back to goal. But Vlahovic is better, is more dangerous when he's goal facing. He's not really good with his back to the goal. Although, like, when you see him at first, like someone with his strength, he should be good at that, but he's not. He cannot keep the ball in a good way. He does not. His first touch often, like when he's fighting with the other defender just to keep the ball. Like he very rarely produces something that is useful. Like, there are players who don't produce any output, but they do that, and it's very helpful. Like, a player that I can think of who does this, for example, who's not a great striker, in my opinion, never was, but he does this really well, is Morata, for example. Morata is really good when it comes to this. Like, he's having a horrendous season this year, yet, like, against Juventus, he was very helpful for Como with that. He was allowing them to come up every single time.
He played well.
Yeah, and we couldn't take the ball from him. We don't have currently any player that does this. Jonathan David, I think he was hoping that he would provide this, play with his back to goal. He could not do it, clearly. Like, he played so many missed passes. For me, he does look like the profile that would be able to provide that. But I think his comment based on this game, which is also what was mentioned earlier by you guys, against Bologna, the first half, he had so many promising situations where he was betrayed by his technique or his terrible decision-making in the very last second. He just can't do it. I'm not going to say that Vlahovic was like doing amazing in these things, but he was definitely better. He was clearly better in that aspect, and players trusted him more. I feel like the players don't trust Jonathan David much at the moment. And in terms of the approach of playing Jonathan David against organized teams that play with a deep defense, and then like switching to Openda when you're playing against teams playing with a high line, it does make sense on paper. It's a good way to keep them both happy as well, as you mentioned, Ale, because it's sort of like tactical. If any of them was good enough, though, they would start every single game. But none of them showed that yet. Openda just had a great cameo against Bologna. If he can deliver a goal now against Roma, I think he will get a run of games. But that's a big if. So none of them really justifies a starting position that is cemented at the moment. And you remember last week, Spalletti playing without any number 9. If he trusted any of them, he wouldn't do that. Right.
I mean, when I asked the question, I was like, yeah, stupid one, because he doesn't play one against Napoli. So that's all the proof you actually need in that regard. Does anyone of you guys, really quickly before we move on to the next topic, mentally for both of these players, do you think it's a good situation that it's going to be based on the opponent rather than getting continuity? Because I had that debate when someone said, yeah, that's good. You play that team, you play him. And I'm like, I disagree with that, because that means one player can play 3 games in a row and the other one can get maybe 1, and then it's back to a close game. You go out there. I don't think that's good for anyone, especially for these players to drop consistent good performances. It's just hoping it suits the game on the day, and it works.
But go ahead,
first.
Colin. No,
Okay.
it's fine.
I guess it all falls back on the fact that we appointed a coach mid-season. So it kind of affects that. So in a way that Spalletti didn't have preseason, so there's no Spalletti is working. He has to work obviously to gain results based off or rack up points up the table, and as well bring performances up to par. So I guess what Spalletti he's just doing is whatever works best for now is what he's going to try. So I don't think there's really time for you to allow a player bit consistently, in my opinion. If he stays next season, that's Spalletti, then fine. I think he can pick up one player and be like, okay, I'll develop you to play my system well. But it all falls back to the management decision of Helkan again that we talked about the other time. So in my opinion, this is the best he can give for now.
That's a good point, because it feels like if he chooses to go with one and drops the other consistently, it's sort of like he's given up on that player. And both of them were significant investments at the moment. And I don't think anyone justified just yet that they deserve to get that starting spot. You never know if someone, as I mentioned, let's say Openda delivers against Roma, I do see him starting the game after. If you ask me on paper, I do think on a tactical level, it will always make sense to start with Jonathan David and bring Openda in the second half, simply because I think having the speed, because Openda is fast. The one thing that I'll give him, he's fast and he's really strong. He's really strong. Having that sort of pace against tired legs, I like that. You remember how, for example, Allegri used to use on the wing Douglas Costa. Even Douglas Costa, when he's fit, he would still start on the bench, just because he wanted that impact off the bench when Douglas Costa comes in. Sometimes during the seasons he was doing that, and I like to have this option off the bench. A lot of times, you're struggling for a spark in attack, and you don't have anyone on the bench who can change something. And in my opinion, Openda provides that a bit. Jonathan David doesn't provide this really. He's someone who he's just going to receive the ball, pass it to the closest guy, and then hope to run into space or receive the ball in space. So
he's not going to create chaos. He's,
exactly.
Douglas Luiz is maybe what people think Zegrova can do, but again, no minutes for Zegrova against Bologna. Very strange situation.
I meant Douglas Costa.
Yeah, Douglas Costa. Sorry, Douglas Costa.
Yeah.
I mean,
Zegrova, exactly. That's what we're hoping, Conceição or Zegrova to give you what Douglas Costa used to provide you. Yeah.
But we will see when it comes to that one. I think it's going to be Jonathan David against Roma. And
I agree, by the way, in terms of guessing, just guessing now.
I think that's just how he views it at this moment in time when it comes to making those decisions.
And for 4-2-3-1, Ale, just sorry for that. As you saw against Paphos when we saw the 4-2-3-1, I do think as well it's easier to bring Openda to play on the wing fresh in a 4-2-3-1 rather to get Openda to move into the wing from the number 9 during the game after playing 60, 70 minutes, if he wants to make that move within the game as well.
I do agree with that as well. But we will see.
My issue with starting David is Mancini on the other Roma team is going to be such a piece of shit during the games.
Mancini.
Yeah.
I think
he should have been sent off.
He should have been sent off every week, basically. But I think Indica is not going to be there.
Yesterday he was going to the AFCON.
Yeah, but I saw a report that he got the game for Roma, and then I saw another report saying no, he didn't get it.
During yesterday's game, the commentator said something like they were only allowed for the Como game. So today they are meant to be in camps like all Nigerian players. They played a friendly for the AFCON. The AFCON starts 21st December. So they're meant to be in camp today in respect for the 21st of December.
No, he's definitely with Nigeria at the moment. He will not play. So Mancini missing this game would have been even a bigger blow for them. But yeah,
I'm happy Mancini is there. I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy because he's gonna mess up. I've watched him play. He's gonna mess up. But we will get into that really quick. Talking about AFCON really quickly. I was watching the news and the Cameroon is just it's the most hilarious thing you will ever. I don't know if you got that story really quickly. So
it has his own squad and the coach has his own squad as well.
It's a Belgium coach, so he was talking like he's over here in Belgium. He's like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be there because I don't have my tickets. And he's like, but I'm not sacked because they just paid me a couple of days ago. I got my wages for the month. I was like, what? And he's like.
Yeah, of course.
It's like I'm not sure what's going to happen, So I make my squad, and then we'll see who's gonna rock up. I'm like, insane, but whatever. Let's move on to Yildiz.
Just one point, Ali, before Yildiz, just on Roma, because honestly, I was looking at these numbers the other day, and I was really fascinated by them. Like,
keep them in mind.
Roma,
we'll talk about Roma in a second.
Yeah.
We will talk about. We will wrap it up with Roma because. Yeah, maybe you're gonna say something about their goal scored or something.
Yeah.
They're not. Yeah, they're not that good. Or like the numbers, it's actually Sule and Sliva. But
even when you watch them, like Gasperini, something happened to him this year. Like he's sort of like Allegri 2.0 now. I don't know.
It's conservative. But, it's more conservative.
Yeah, to be honest, respect to him, because that's the only way he could get the results.
Same. I agree. He needs that because he doesn't have that real squad. But let's move on to Kalulu and Yildiz, because these two players. So the question is, one with Kalulu, from, I don't know, when we signed him, he's a utility piece, basically, he can do a job here and there, to now, is he a key player because he plays every single game, every single minute? And also Yildiz at the same time. How important is he? And are we just over-relying on Yildiz? Is that dangerous to do? To just heavily rely on Yildiz and hope that, you show up, we kind of show up kind of vibe. When it comes to Kalulu, I bring up this topic because I think he gets disrespected too much. And this is not me saying that he is a world beater or whatever, because when I try to defend Kalulu, everyone is like, oh my God, how can you rate him that highly? Never said I rate him that highly, but I can also not come on and say he's been awful all season, because that would be flat out lying. And that's just not correct, in my opinion. He's playing every single minute for a reason. He is playing, remember at the start of the season when he was in positions where he needed to put in a cross or, needed to enter the box, and people are like, oh, you cannot do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to kill him for not being technical enough to do it, because that's who he is. That's like Chiellini ending up in the box and, fluffing a shot every single time. Like, I'm not going to blame Chiellini for not having the technique to play the final pass or put in a fantastic cross. But defensively, he's been extremely solid, in my opinion. He's been solid. He's been very consistent with it. And when he talked about, in his presser before Pavlos, I feel like a leader. I don't want to get too much into that part of the debate, I guess, but I do think he deserves a little bit more of respect, because he's a quiet player. He plays his game. He had a rough patch last season. Remember with Lazio and all those things, that Lazio away game, and actually everyone, Yildiz messed up against Cagliari at home, or it was Cagliari. No, it was Monza at home. Excuse me. But Kalulu has been, Iron Man. He's fit. He's available. Plays his game, and he goes home, and that's it. And next time he rocks up again, and he does it over and over again. I always say, if you don't speak a lot about the defender, he's
it's a
playing
good
well.
thing.
It's a good thing. If you need to talk about a defender every single week, something is horribly wrong with that player. So I don't know. What do you think about the stake? I still see a lot of stake Kalulu is getting, and I'm not really sure why this season.
I think for Kalulu is people giving him a stick is based off when the team is trying to build out from the back. I think so far that's been his major weakness. So watching the game against Bologna, I wasn't on the field, but I could tell each time he misplaced the pass during the build up. There was this kind of disgruntledness among so I guess that's the only stick he's getting because based off defensive qualities, Kalulu has never been a world class defender. He's just good enough to play the game. So I guess he's doing that for us. Well, so the stick for me, in my opinion, probably when we're playing out on the back.
Can you really blame him, Basil? Can you really blame him? Because if we're gonna ask Bremer to play out from the back 90 times a game, we're gonna start hate on Bremer because he's not really good at it. We're gonna talk about Bremer in a way we shouldn't really be talking about it, in my opinion. So I don't know.
That's the thing. Based off defensive qualities, Bremer has kind of solidified himself as one of the top defenders in Serie A on his game based off marking out strikers. So I don't think fans really mind Bremer not playing out of the back well. So far, he does his normal Bremer duties. For Kalulu, I think many fans are giving him the stick based off he's not particularly good in one thing. He's just a good enough player. He kind of reminds me of McKennie, but there's a divisive opinion over him. So people are like, oh, he's versatile, he works hard. But some people are, it's not technical. So that's just it.
Yeah. From my perspective, I would never he would never catch me this season, even in the summer ahead of the season. He would never catch me saying, "Oh, I think the problem with this team is Kalulu." I honestly, I've even I think mentioned it last week. I do think that he's one of these players. If you put him in the right setup with the right companions in the defensive department, I think he will be quite solid. He's physically strong. He's fast. And especially if you want to play Spalletti football, hopefully going forward, you do need that pace in the back line to allow you to play a high line. He's got that. When it comes to playing from the back, I don't like his passing. He cannot, if he's going to play as a fullback soon, he cannot overlap. We saw against Real Madrid how many chances he got and he couldn't make use of them. We know that. We didn't learn this season. But I actually think that in terms of having a striding forward with the ball, I don't think he's that bad. He's not easy. When it comes to press, it's not easy to take the ball out of him. He often takes the right decision. There's a couple of occasions that you can bring where he made a mistake, but I think this applies to anyone. I personally do not feel Gatti, for example, when he was playing in our back line, every time the ball was in his vicinity, I get into panic mode. I'm like, I don't trust him with the ball on his feet. I don't trust him with his decision. I don't trust his rush. The way he conducts himself, it's chaotic, I don't get the same vibes from Kalulu. I feel like he's always composed. Yes, he's not world class. His heading ability for me is lacking. He cannot, and it's part of our weakness when it comes to set pieces as well. I don't think he's a great header of the ball. Even dealing with the cross-field balls, that's not his strong point. But I do think in the right setup, he's someone who we can really rely on, and he's not the issue we have today. And then if we are to shift to a back four, as Spalletti mentioned, and he mentioned that he's going to play as a fullback. For me, he allows the opportunity for Cambiaso to play as a left back, because if you're going to play with an attacking right back and attacking someone like Cambiaso at left back, you will lose all types of balance. You will not have any balance. So I think he allows that. He will enable that. Kalulu, say like someone like João Mario is playing at right back and then Cambiaso on left back. You cannot play back four with that.
João Mario is crazy.
I don't know if he's still there, right? We still have him on the team.
I mean, I feel for him. I'm not gonna lie. I do feel for him because like you said, is he still here? He's not gonna be here for a very long time. I've no idea I've actually no idea. I cannot even speak about it because what can we say?
I feel bad for him, honestly. I feel bad for him. You know, he can carry the ball in transitions. We've seen that from him in the few games that he played, and we conceded that handball, which shouldn't have been a penalty for Verona. Thanks to him, that's been his impact this season.
But to not even get garbage time minutes for weeks and weeks is crazy to me. Like, it's actually you must be really bad in trade. Like, that's the only explanation. Like, that's the
he's
only
missing training maybe altogether.
Unreal. Like, I've actually never seen anything like this before. I'm not like not even
honestly,
5 minutes.
Forget this stage. The whole transfer, I don't understand it. Like,
I agree.
I just don't get this transfer. Like the exchange that happened, I just don't get it. Like, what were we trying to do? You know,
it makes no sense right now. It does. Like, it doesn't make no sense. And yeah, I mean, that's a show, a completely different show, which we'll probably get into maybe in January when start heating up a little bit. Quick comment on Yildiz, not too much, and then we'll move on to the last topic, Roma, before we wrap it up. Don't need to get into details, but are you worried that we maybe are over relying on Yildiz? Because when Yildiz had a bad patch, remember, where he wasn't getting the assists and scoring, we were struggling, really struggling as well. And now that he looks fit again, we're struggling less. Like, that's the simple conclusion. But like, is it a worry that we're so heavily relying on him to give us that spark? And it's a good thing, because he's the best player. You expect that. But the feeling for me personally is it's a lot. It's maybe a bit too much. Like, somebody else chip in on a consistent basis throughout 90 minutes. I'm not even saying assist, but be a threat for like 90 minutes. Like Conceição was against Bologna. You need to be that almost every single week, which is not the case. I get it. But somebody else needs to step up. Like, are you even slightly worried about, over relying on Yildiz? You go.
Cody?
No, you can go.
Okay, cool. To be honest with you, he's hit top form. He's hit top form the last 5-6 games. So I'm enjoying watching Yildiz. I hope he can keep it up. This should give a chance for other players to also contribute, like, because the pressure is off them, because Yildiz is delivering every single game a goal or an assist the last few games. Is it worrying? It's again going back to our attacking phase, which has been lacking a lot. I think that's worrying. Our output is really worrying. How much we generate. The thing is, the only one who's capitalizing on these promising situations is Yildiz. We need more. Like, that's what I was hopeful Jagrova will start contributing. He's not anywhere near clearly being there. And Conceição, the last few games, I really didn't like what I saw from him against Bologna, and against Napoli. Like, I don't know what was that as well. Like, yeah. So I'm worried about our attacking phase. I think it's the main weakness in this team, and it's why if they actually can deliver, we can be really ambitious in the season. Nothing is lost yet, but we haven't seen that. Our level is nowhere near where it needs to be at the moment in the attacking phase.
For me, I guess it's a good thing for me in the sense that, like you said before, you always want your best players to perform well. We can make examples of Barcelona too. When Rafinha wasn't fit, you could tell the difference between how they perform and when he's fit as well. So that aside, everything we've been saying tonight all goes down to player profiling and management decisions. For me, the style of play we want to play currently under Spalletti, Conceição is not the type of winger. For me, in my opinion, Conceição is a transition-based winger. He will thrive when the space is open in front of him, not when you're trying to break down a low block. That is why I feel the lack of fitness of Zegrova is kind of holding down our whole entire play the front line back. So because if you watch Conceição, it's just burst of pace and that's all he has. Like there were moments I don't know anybody can remember from the fourth minute that switch of play from Yildiz to Conceição, the chance he had that really should tell you everything you need to know about Conceição. We have a better winger there. Like when I mean winger with ball IQ or elite ball knowledge there. We get to go there. But so it's Conceição is just he's a transition based winger. He's a winger I feel will be suited more to AC Milan the way they play. Just like how will I put it now?
I'm not ready to give up on him. You know, I like him. I like Conceição.
Obviously,
but he's not at
he won't
Yildiz
give up.
level. Yeah.
I feel like with much more coaching and improvement, he would get there. But for now, I just see the way he's playing now. If he keeps it up, it's just the team suited for transition. So I see him more like a
I agree with
Semenyo
that.
from ball. Yeah. So
No, I agree. He's better in transitions, and he's better when there's space. You can see that. I fully agree with this. The only thing that I say is he's had some games as well against low blocks where he managed to beat his man and deliver something. Currently, he's not doing that at all. Like even I think there's the Verona game as well. Like he scored the 1-0, cutting inside like Robin as well. So he can deliver that, but he's not doing that enough. Like we need more of that. And recently, I don't like his form. I just don't like his form at all.
I guess so that's just my conclusion on it. So and then on Yildiz also being reliant, I think the way Spalletti wants to play Yildiz, he basically made mention countless times in his pressers that he sees Yildiz like Cavra, and everybody knows them. Cavra was one of the main reasons Napoli won the Scudetto. So I guess we under Spalletti's system, we would see Yildiz is Spalletti's idea. Yildiz is basically the brain behind Spalletti's work. So that's the intuition I'm getting from what the coach is saying. So I guess it's no problem to me so far. Yildiz can keep up performing. That's not to say the other attackers shouldn't step up, but it's a good thing.
To be honest with you, you always want the ball on the feet of your best player. And I want Yildiz to be in goal scoring positions as well. So
games, Spalletti always is always telling you this to like drop centrally, make runs in behind. Like he constantly was pressing on that. So I guess it's more of the way Spalletti wants his team to be. So I guess there's no problem about that.
And Zegrova, not in play.
Zegrova as a player, if he becomes fit, in my opinion, we might have a team to watch. If Zegrova becomes fit, in my opinion, we might have a team to watch. The question is, how long more does he take?
He didn't look ready at all, to be honest with you, in those 45 minutes against
Paphos. And I think Ali tweeted out that after those 45 minutes, Conceição is getting the start always. I think I saw that tweet.
Yeah, that was not a great. The one thing that I want to mention just on the Yildiz topic, the last point, I think Cabal is a very interesting proposition here because Cabal cannot do what Cambiaso do when it comes to like tucking into midfield. He's better as overlapping if he's going to play as a fullback or a wing back there. So it will be more consistent from Yildiz to go to the center, while at the moment sometimes it's Cambiaso going to the center and Yildiz who's staying wide, and they switch that between them. So it's interesting just to follow what Spalletti will do going forward.
And I think Spalletti likes an energetic wing back, which Cambiaso is not.
Yeah. To be honest with you, in terms of in terms of running, in terms of pure mileage, he's with McKennie. He's been constantly our player that's producing the most kilometers per game. But like I think what he lacks is intensity. That's the thing. Like he covers a lot of space, but it's not very intense.
The injury sustained, I think it's down to that.
You could be right when it comes to the injury. It took something out of it, but it looks like he's on the way back. You know, in terms of full fitness or looking sharp, I might say. Let's move on to the final topic, and then we will wrap it up. It's Roma. When Spalletti said ahead of Napoli, it's season defining, I was like, no, not really. I think this is season defining for us. Roma at home. You need to win, you know, otherwise it could be, I don't know how many points. I probably need to look up. If you lose, is it 7? 8
7 to 4
points?
Yeah.
7. That's a big bridge to, you know, to overcome. Like that's massive. You know, if it's 7 points that you need to overcome over Roma, then it's too much. It can be way too much, in my opinion, you know. So I do think this game against Roma is season defining because of the fact that you play your direct rival in terms of top 4, whatever you want to call it. You play a team who's in very good shape, is in good form, is doing well this season. Maybe not playing all that well, you know, like on the pitch, you know, it looks fantastic, but they grind out results. They grinded it out against Como because I think Como deserved a point out of that game at least. They didn't get a point out of that game, so fair play to them to overcome that and score. But I say it's season, or why I think it's season defining is for a very simple reason, and that reason is after Roma. So let's say you do beat Roma. The following games post-Roma are Pisa away, Lecce at home, Sassuolo away, Cremonese at home, Cagliari away. Those are the next games until you play Benfica and Napoli. You know? So again, if you play Roma, season defining in my opinion, because you get closer and afterwards, I'll repeat it, it's Pisa away, Lecce at home, Sassuolo away, Cremonese at home, and Cagliari away. Those are the next 5 games post Roma. So you can go on a potential, and I say potential because we have never shown lately to be able to go on a run. But if the Bologna performs as something that we might see more often, if you beat Roma, you have 5 games that are very winnable on paper to go on a streak and put something together and put some sort of pressure on everyone else who are playing more difficult games, in my opinion. Up to, obviously, after that, it's Napoli. You also have Parma. But then keep in mind, if we qualify for the Champions League, it's Atalanta, Lazio, I think Champions League game in between, Inter, Como, Roma. You know, so the stretch that's coming post-Roma is Saturday, and post-Roma is so important for our season because it's a stretch that you should be getting back into whatever you get back into before an insane run of intenseful and difficult games you're going to play, you know. So that's why it's, for me, it's season defining. I'll do my preview later on, but I will say I'm extremely confident that we will beat Roma at home, and I think we will beat Roma without any great issues, in my opinion. I think it will be a clean win as well. You know, I'm that confident. Maybe because I watched us play against Bologna like that, but also because I watched Roma play against Como. They do play better away from home. They pick up more points away from home, which is strange. They look more freely away from home, but if they want to play more freely for some reason at the stadium, that's only good for, I think, certain players we have in our squad. So I don't know if you guys agree if it's season defining, but for me it is, just purely based on the opponent and the run post Roma.
Yeah, it's season defining in the sense that potentially we win Roma and the games after Roma, we might be talking about quote unquote Scudetto run, I guess. So it's season defining, and on the game being a record game, so I feel Roma is not coming to the stadium to play full attacking 90 minutes. I have definitely to pack the bus. So it'll be left for us to just figure it out. That's what I think. So I hope we win. That's what I hope.
I'm really hoping that we start with scoring first. I do think this will make the game much easier, given like how they're playing this season. The one thing that I wanted to mention earlier, Roma, both in terms of the eye test, what you saw against Como, what we've seen all season, and also like when it comes to the numbers, Roma, for example, XG conceded 17 goals after the Como game.
Yeah.
They only conceded, in fact, 8 goals. If you follow statistics every season, this cannot sustain. This sort of reminds me of
It's kind
Allegri's last
yeah.
last season at Juve, you know?
Yeah, where
Uh,
we faced Napoli. They gave us
yeah,
it was 5-1 after we've had I think 9 goals conceded before the game. I don't know
yeah.
if anybody can remember that.
Yeah, I remember
I
that. Like the
remember that.
first half of season, we were talking about Scudetto, and then it was complete collapse after this. But I can see something similar with Roma. They're not as good as they're producing at the moment. They're just not, and
It's Sule
and we're
really
the
quickly
opposite.
and the
Yeah,
goalkeeper. They're playing and
agreed.
they're playing out of their skins. Like they really are
Yeah,
playing. Obviously, like others are chipping in, but Sule is on it, and their goalkeeper, even against Como, was on it.
he's the best keeper in Serie A. I agree. Like he's
He is. He
unbelievable.
is.
Yeah,
He is.
yeah. Um, look, it's not going to be an easy game. I do think it's going to be much easier if we score first, because in transition, if we are able to transition against them, I think this will make the game much easier for us. And to be honest with you, if we're only 1 goal up in the last 20, 30 minutes, I don't trust us to win it. You know, I think mentally we're just not there yet. So I want us to be able to create that 2 goal cushion. That's how I'm thinking about it. I'm optimistic like you. I do think this is a winnable game. And I take a lot of positives from the Bologna game. Roma as well, the last couple of results from their perspective against Celtic and against Como, they're really positive results from their perspective as well. And they've had now a full week of rest, just like us, when we face each other. So it's going to be an interesting game. I do back us to win, and I do think the psychological impact of this win, getting into 5 very winnable games, could completely transform our season. I'm not as brave mentioning the S word, you know, but it, like, to be honest with you, it's not impossible because I don't really rate any of the other. If we don't win this, I don't think we're going to win this Scudetto this season. But it's more because we're not good enough, and not because I think the others are amazing. Like that's my that's
I
my
agree.
my read.
Nobody
Yeah,
stands out. Really
yeah,
stands out.
I do have
yeah.
a kind of a theory. If we started with Spalletti from beginning of the season, we might have a better chance. And I'm banking on Ali. He's the last time he said he was confident on us winning was against Inter. So I hope we get the same result.
I'm always confident. Like, but actually, that and Lazio at home, like we beat Lazio at home. That's that. And Inter, I always give us a shot against Inter, especially at home, because we turn up for those games. No matter the situation we're in, we turn up for these games. You know how it ends, who knows? But we always find a way to, because it's how bad the players are, how much we do not rate them. You can feel the entire week you're playing Inter. I think you just get up for that game by nature. You know, it's just easy to get up for that game, in my opinion. You know, you players who have been playing so poor somehow pop up with something, and it was like,
Even in bad seasons, we do well, like
yeah.
against them. Yeah,
When we
and to
came
be honest
up
with
from
you,
Serie
even
B, we beat them.
yeah, for me, the first game in the stadium ever was in the worst season ever, 2010, when that Marquisio goal in the Olympico. So that's the first time I've
Yeah.
ever, yeah, we won that game. Like the one thing that I would say is like Spalletti, I think starting to trust the team more. Like I think he's starting to see his vision more in what the players are delivering, and I think this is more than Roma. Like that, this is what I'm optimistic about, and I just want to say that at home we've been okay this season. We haven't lost any game at home. The 3 games we drew at home as well. Like I think they weren't the worst game, except for we're clearly better at home than away so far this season. Bologna is the only impressive away performance for us so far. So yeah, I'm optimistic, and if we can get 4 wins from the next 5, if you remember last week I mentioned that for us to be en route for top 4, we need to win 4 of the next 5 games. So we won Bologna now. Now we need to win 3 of the next 4. Now it didn't look very possible last week. Now it's looking possible. Like now I back us to win this much games and hopefully even more. And yeah, there's a scenario where this season becomes much more positive if we have a good run now, and then some investments in January that help Spalletti through the tough run. You never know. This can still be a good season, and the plot twist is coming.
You go. No, you said investments. I'm like, yes, unless you sign Alcaraz from Southampton, then you're not going anywhere. You're going absolutely nowhere. But yeah, I mean, I cannot wait for the Roma game. I'm going to be honest. I cannot wait. I'm ready for it. So hopefully I'm not, going to regret my excitement for that game. But I think we will turn up. I think we will be ready to play them and just win that game. That's just my belief, going into.
I'm following the games with so much interest at the moment. Like there was a period for me, like there's even good seasons where I wasn't, because there's quite a few players that I think I like, if they deliver. So I like this team. What this team can be one day. It's not there yet. There is excitement for me in this season. Like there's seasons where I had zero excitement watching Juve. I was watching the games just because I'm used to watching the games. Like for example, the Sarri season, I remember I hated that. Like we won the Scudetto and I hated it. Yeah, now I'm watching the games. Now I'm watching the games with interest. I don't know what's really generating this interest. Maybe Yildiz, he's really exciting. I love him. But yeah, I'm watching the games with so much interest at the moment.
We will see. We will see on Saturday what we will do, how we will show up. Hopefully, it's with a win. I'm confident that we will deliver, but I will talk about it, building up to this game, and then
3-1 Juve. That's
okay. So you're more confident than me, I think. Yeah. I think 2-0. But scoring 3, it's confident. That's extremely confident.
We need it.
Go 1-0 Juve win.
No, win is a win. I'll take any win, by the way. I take a very good game, but a deflected own goal at the end. I'll take that as well.
To be honest with you, 1-0 for me is a great win. It shows like very strong like mentality and like a mental strength and all of that. And this team didn't show any so far, like except for the Bologna game, which was helped by a red card. I don't know if the red card didn't happen. I don't know what would have happened in the last minutes against Bologna. I don't really trust this team yet when it comes to keeping a one goal lead.
That's why I think the result is very important, but also the performance. We cannot go from Paphos Bologna back to Paphos and win. You know what I mean? Like the win is good, but if you have a Paphos type of game again, then the win has less value for the future, in my opinion, because it shows that indeed we're a roller coaster and we cannot be consistent at all. And that screams you're just gonna have that type of season where it's going to be a 4th place struggle again.
You're saying it's decisive, Ali. I honestly think it can be very negative. Even if we win, we'll get some positives. But I think if this doesn't go well, the damage that it can cause is even bigger than the positive it can provide.
Yeah, like decisive in the bad or a good way. If we lose, I think it's over. I think it's over. Mentally, the points wise, I cannot trust. Like you said, I don't trust these players to overcome that. That would be if these guys overcome 7 points, it's a miracle. It's actually a miracle. That would be a miracle. But we will see. Hopefully, we will win on Saturday, and then we have something excited to talk about. The following week, building up towards on paper, quote unquote, winnable games. Anyways, we're going to wrap up this podcast. Thanks, guys, for joining for the second episode of this one. Ever since we're doing it, we're winning. So who knows? Maybe
it's a good omen, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's Julian not waking up again.
Watch the games as well.
Yeah,
he's not watching the games, right?
I think he rewatched it, but he didn't wake up, so
Yeah.
hopefully he falls asleep before the Roma game. That's only a good sign for us, I guess. But that's it, people. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will speak each other following week again. Ciao.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, guys.